Okey, selamat sejahtera dan selamat pagi kepada pelajar-pelajar yang masih setia bersama kami di Sektor Pembelajaran PPD Bangsar Pudu dalam program TOP Tuition Online Percuma. Hari ini bersama kita adalah Cikgu Kwan Siew dari Victoria Institution untuk subjek Biologi SPM. Cikgu Kwan akan guide anda hari ini untuk answering technique for paper 3 Biology. Okey, sebelum tu seperti biasa kita ada sesi motivasi daripada Cikgu Teo Sok Hong dari SMJK Confucian dengan tajuknya Move Out from Comfort Zone. So tanpa melengahkan masa, saya menjemput Cikgu Teo. Hai Cikgu Teo.
Good morning, Mr. Subra.
Hi, good morning. Okay, Teacher Teo can continue with your motivation session.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to share a topic about move out from comfort zone. What is comfort zone? A comfort zone is a psychological state or situation in which you feel comfortable and you do not have to do anything new or difficult. It prevents you from improving. It stops you from achieving all the things you are capable of achieving, and it makes you miserable. During this MCO COVID-19 pandemic, what you do and don't do now will affect your future. Just like now, you all are preparing for your SPM 2020, and this is your goal. And what is your dream? What is your future career, career path? So you have to think about what are the things you should do now. For example, maybe you should set a personal own timetable. You should have perseverance, doing some revision, doing some notes, uh, doing some past year questions, and doing some exercise to keep yourself healthy and fit. And also, there are some things that you don't do because time flies. You only have 2.5 months to sit for your SPM 2020. You don't spend too much time on gadgets, on computer games, on handphones, on the things that it might affect your time, that you should use the time wisely to prepare for your exam. Why people are scared of moving out from comfort zone? Number one, maybe it's tired and weariness, because to do something new is tired. And there's also because of the pride of past accomplishment. For example, maybe you have achieved a good result in the past. You think it's okay, I no need to spend so much time on current situation, I can do it. And then the third thing is because of the discouragement of the past losses. You did try, but it didn't turn up to be the way that you want it to be. So you feel so discouraged and you don't like to keep moving. So that's why stepping up from your comfort zones means you're moving into uncharted territory. You're trying things that you've never tried before and learning things you never learned before. Number one, you will be scared. Leaving your comfort zone isn't easy. It can be downright terrifying at times, and that's okay because it's perfectly normal to feel afraid when you're embarking on a journey that forces you to try the new things. So don't freak out or get overwhelmed when you feel yourself getting a little scared. It's perfectly normal and all part of the process. What is important is that don't let the fear hold you back. You must continue to take action to face the fear, because that will place you more opportunity than ever before. Number two, you will fail. Yes, when you move out from your comfort zone, sometimes you will fail. Means you're moving into something that you don't know, is unknown. And then the steeping learning curves means you're not going to get everything right in the first time. And you will eventually fail when you move out of your comfort zone. But as long as the failure isn't catastrophic, it can actually be a good thing to fail, because you will learn. Failure is the best teacher. You will learn more from each one of your failures than you have from each one of your successes. When you fail small, and fail often, you will rapidly increase the rate at which you learn new insights and skill. And eventually, if you apply correctly, you will lead to your success. And then you will also, once you move out from your comfort zone, you will see yourself in a different way. You will immediately prove to yourself that you are capable of achieving more than you thought it was possible. Nothing is impossible if you believe. Your peers also will see you in a different way. Whether you want to admit or not, people judge other people. And right now, people view you in a certain way, and they have a certain idea of what you are capable of. That's because they become accustomed to seeing you operate in your comfort zone. But once you move out of your comfort zone, you will prove to other people as well that you're capable of much more than you have shown in the past. That separates the winners from losers. You will also increase your concentration because when you are trying some new things, the bulk of your action and your habitual is automatic, is subconscious, and requiring limited focus. But once you move out from your comfort zone, you no longer rely on those habitual responses. You are forced to concentrate and focus on the new action in a way you never do in your comfort zone. From moving out from your comfort zone also requires you to develop new skills. One of the benefits you will experience is that you are stepping up from the limited sets of behavior and start to develop your ability and expertise in new area. So living inside of your comfort zone only require a limited skill set, and those skills won't contribute much to your success. Once you can confidently step outside of your comfort zone and learn a new skill, there's no limit to how much you can achieve. You can achieve more than before. With everything that happened once you move out from your comfort zone, you are naturally going to achieve more than ever before. Now, we are in the seasons of MCO. You have more time and space at home. This is the right time to make your goals happen. Move out from your comfort zone. Do because what you do and don't do now will affect your future. That's all from my sharing today. Thank you very much.
Okey, terima kasih Cikgu Tiu di atas perkongsian yang memotivasikan kepada pelajar. Saya harap pelajar pelajar mendapat motivasi ini untuk terus berjuang untuk peperiksaan SPM nanti. Okey, terima kasih Cikgu Tiu.
Thank you.
Okey, pelajar-pelajar, tanpa melengahkan masa, saya menjemput Cikgu Kwan, Siew dari Victoria Institution untuk sesi biologi kita pada pagi ini. Hai Cikgu Kwan.
Hello.
Cikgu
Thank
Kwan
you.
boleh continue.
Okay. Thank you, Encik Sumber. Right. Today, I'm Dr. Kwan from Victoria Institution. Today, I'm going to share with you how you can actually answer question 2 in your paper 3. Okay, this is my share screen. Okay, along the way, if students, you have any questions, please type it at the comment area so that I could able to answer your questions. All right, so we look at the questions. All right, based on the questions showed, okay, in paper 3, question number 2, all right, what you can see here is I'm showing you an exact questions from the exam paper. Okay, some of you, if you do the past year questions, you may see these questions as well. So today we are going to look into the questions in thorough and to know how actually you can answer it with certain techniques. I'm not so much onto the, what we call it, the theory part of it, but on the technical part on answering the questions. So you have to pick up the technique on how to answer the questions. So basically, question 2 here is actually asking you to design an experiment. So you have to always remember that you are actually planning or designing the experiment. The experiment is not done yet. So you are actually planning to do it. Why you want to plan that? Because you want to solve a problem or you want to test out a hypothesis. That is your aim of doing this experiment. All right. So when you read the questions, I think we better go through the question first so that you know what I'm talking about. So always when you get the questions, you have to read the questions thoroughly. So the question says, based on the information below, plan an experiment to study the effect of types of soil on the length of leaves of for hibiscus. Okay, and then there is a box of information. Sometimes they will give you this box, sometimes they will give you some diagrams. Okay, so the box says that inside the box there, variation is the difference between organisms of the same species. Variation in plants can be seen through the leaf or the length of leaves. Then the last instructions is the planning of your experiment must include the following aspects. So that means in this question, the most important thing is you have to plan your experiment. You have to plan your experiment. All right, so how can you start? Actually, when you read this question, if you are observant, you actually found almost the entire answer from the question. Okay, so that is always a practice or a technique that you must pick up is to identify a sentence in the questions given here. That sentence will actually help you to answer the entire paper, almost half. Okay, so this is the sentence. You have to identify this sentence. Always read the questions and then you will find questions like this pattern. To study, to experiment, to investigate, or to test out, or whatever it is. Okay, so you have to highlight this sentence because from this sentence, you can already actually answer half of the paper. Okay, so this sentence is actually telling you the aim of the experiment. The aim of the experiment. What is the aim? What is the objective? Is to study the effect of types of soil on the length of leaves for hibiscus. So from these questions, you can actually put down for your problem statement, your hypothesis, and also the variables. All right. So from these questions, you will have to change it to a problem statement. So what is a problem statement? A problem statement always comes with a question. So how can you change this particular sentence to become a question? So students, you may think about it. I give you 5 seconds to think about it. All right, students, if you know how to change it, you can type it on the chat box so that I would see and read your answers and see whether you are right or wrong. You change the statements to study the effect of types of soil on the length of leaves for hibiscus species to a question. Okay. Now you can actually change it to become a questions. All right, I'm showing you here. How do you change it? Okay. So this is one of the examples that I'm giving you. The problem statement, you can say, what is the effect of type of soil on the length of hibiscus plant or hibiscus species? Okay, why am I underlining hibiscus? Because this is the name of the species of the, what we call it, the plant. And normally when we type it, we italic it. But when you are writing in your paper, you are actually doing what we call it, you need to underline it because you cannot italic the things in your paper when you are writing it. Okay. All right. Then, can we form another question from that? Yes, you can form any questions when it comes to problem statement. Okay, so this will be one of the example for your problem statement. Okay, from the same sentence that we just looked at, to study the effect of types of soil on the length of leaves, okay, so from here you can actually get two things, which is your manipulated variable as well as the, what we call it, the responding variable, okay. So the manipulated variable will be this. Which one you are manipulating? You are manipulating on the type of soil. This will be your manipulated variable, whereby for the responding variable, the length of the leaves will be your responding variable. So you could answer this one, but before that, you need to write your hypothesis. So how can you write your hypothesis? It is very simple. Your hypothesis need to actually relate your manipulated variable relates to your responding variable. Now you know that your, what we call it, your manipulated variable is the type of soil, and the responding variable is the length of leaves. So try again, students, see what kind of sentences you can form to actually relate the two things. Okay, students, try to write down a sentence which could relate the manipulated variable with the responding variable. Okay, what kind of sentence that you can use, the pattern of the sentence in writing the hypothesis? There are a few, I will show you two types, okay? So first of all, you can relate it like manipulated variable increased, then responding variable increased. This kind of pattern come with manipulated increase, responding variable increase, or manipulated variable decrease, responding variable decrease, or manipulated increase, responding variable decrease, and manipulated variable decrease, responding variable increase. So you can write any pattern like this. Another type of writing the hypothesis will be manipulated variable A is better than manipulated variable B in responding variable. Okay, so which means you are writing that manipulated A is better than B in improving certain things or something like that. So from the examples that I gave, students, can you please try? There are two types of writing the hypothesis. So which types of pattern that you will choose for this hypothesis? Yes, Hui-en, there will be the manipulated variable is soil. So which type of hypothesis, the pattern of the hypothesis you will choose in writing for this example, for these questions, the hypothesis for this question? Students, anyone would like to try? Okay, very good. Hui-en, it is the second type, right? So we are going to look into this. This one. So here we are actually testing it with the type of soil. So you could put two types of soils. You can choose two types of soil. What kind of soil you want? Okay, you may say that you have clay soil, or you have the normal garden soil that we use for gardening. So the responding variable will be on the length of leaves. Okay, so you just relate the two. All right, then you will say clay soil is better than garden soil in promoting the length of soil, the length of leaves. Okay, or in the growth of the length of leaves. So the hypothesis, must it be correct? It may not be, because it is just a hypothesis. All right, this is one of the two examples that I gave you here. Okay, if you do not know what kind of soil you want, you can put different type of soil. Will cause the hibiscus plant's leaf to grow in different length. Okay, or you can put hibiscus plant that grow in clay soil has shorter leaves compared to hibiscus plant that grow in garden soil. Or you can say clay soil is better than garden soil in the growing of leaves in hibiscus plant. So as long as you can relate the relationship between the manipulated variables, as long as you can relate the two and the responding variable, you are safe. You get the hypothesis. And always remember, the hypothesis may not be correct. Okay, if you can put the correct one, you just put the correct one. If it is wrong, also doesn't really matter. That is why you want to design the experiment to test it out whether it is right or wrong. Okay, then we look at the variables. How do you write the variables? Okay, you already found out two. So we got three only variables. So you already found out two, which is your manipulated variables and your responding variable. It left only the third one, which is the constant variable. So the constant variable is anything that you want to make it the same. So you just have to think about it. And from here, you can actually get some clue. So this is one of it, the same species. All right. Yeah, you can use organic soil versus chemical soil is fine. Okay, so that the type of soil you can actually decide it yourself. Any soil that you want is fine. Okay, so the constant variable, you can look at the box here, it given you 1. Okay, so you can use that. If not, then you can think about it yourself. Okay, it's actually not difficult to identify it. So you have to write in such a way, manipulated variables is this. Okay, the type of soil. If you want to put chemical soil and clay soil, go ahead, but it's a type of soil. Responding variable is the length of the leaves. And then constant variable is the same species of the plant that you identified from the questions, right? So you can put this. Or if you want to put this, actually got a lot of things that you have to control. The amount of water that you watered the plant every day. Okay, and also the amount of soil that you put in, okay, to grow the plant, and also the size of the pot that you used. So you have to actually fix a few, what we call it, constant variable yourself. Yes, Daisy and also Joey, you are right. Okay, so amount of soil is also one of the constant variable. The type of the hibiscus also must be the same. Okay. All right, then we proceed to apparatus and materials. So what do you want to use here is the things that you need to grow the plants. Okay, so apparatus and materials, I would advise you to actually put it together, do not separate it. So as long as you think the things is used in this experiment, you just put everything inside. Okay, so what you need to do, from the variables, you already know that you need to use the type of soil. Okay, so you have already identified the two type of soil, then you can put the two type of soil here. Okay, you can put in also, let's say someone just now said chemical soil, right? Okay, if you want to put, you put chemical soil. Yeah, very difficult to write. Chemical soil or organic soil. Okay, so it's up to you. You can put the soil that you want, and then you can put the hibiscus species plant. Okay, you need to use pot, you need to use ruler, you need to use a labeling sticker, marker pen, and watering can. So you need all these things. To measure the length of the leaves, you need the ruler. To water the plants, you need the watering can, and so on. To grow the plant, you need the pots and the soil, and also shovel if you want to put it in. Okay. All right. Then you need to go to the procedures. Okay. Most of the time, the students having problems with the procedures. Okay. Always bear in mind you are planning the experiment. Are you going to run it yet? Not yet. You are still planning it. So as long as whatever that you plan workable and logic, you will get your marks. Don't worry. Okay, so you just try to think about a way how you need to grow this and to get the result that you want to answer your hypothesis, or to test out your hypothesis, or to answer your problem statement, to find out the answer for the problems. So you just imagine and think about it. All right. So my advice is always start with the first step, which is set up the apparatus as shown in the diagram, but you have to draw the diagram. The diagram is not something very marvelous. It's just to tell you how you design your experiment. Okay, I would advise you to write this way. Why? Because otherwise you have to tell step by step how you set this thing up. That's why you have to put number 1, get 2 pots at the same size, fill it with 10 kg soil, garden soil or clay soil respectively, and so on and so forth. You have to write it out. So if you write it out, it is much difficult compared to by using a diagram to just show everything that you are going to use or to set up. All right. So it would be much easier for you to actually put the steps in setting up the apparatus in a diagram. All right. Yeah, Multi, how many apparatus and materials should we write? Okay, my advice is you write as many as you can, but whatever you wrote here must be used here. Don't write something that you do not need to use, and then you just simply put down. Normally, when you write all the things that you need to use in your steps, then it's more than enough. It's more than 5 or 7 is more than that already. Okay. All right. So look at the next steps. Okay. So here you have to tell the first steps. Okay. You have to tell how you actually set up the experiment. Before you conduct it, you have to set up the apparatus to set up the setting of the experiment. So you are telling people that how I'm going to test it, how the setup or the apparatus is used in this experiment. So you have to put it in this way, and it's better for you to do it in diagram, as I said. Then for these 2 pots, you have to label. Label the pots. So when you label the pots, you have to tell what you are going to use. Label it with the labeling sticker and the marker pen. So these things, you have to know that you put it inside your apparatus labeling here. Okay, then you put the type of soil here. Okay, so you have the soil, whatever soil you have, but make sure they are the same. All right. So because here I use your examples, chemical soil and organic soil. So if you want to use, you make sure you change chemical soil and organic soil. All right. Then what are the things that you need in setting up your apparatus? You need to plant the hibiscus plant. So your hibiscus plant is already here. Your pots that you use is here. So make sure the apparatus that you wrote on top is found inside your procedures. Okay, so then after you have set up these things, you label it. All diagram, always remember, all diagram must be labeled. Without the label, without this, okay, we do not know what you are doing, and we do not know what it is. Okay, so don't think that without this label, okay, do not think that if you don't write this, I do not know what kind of plants is this, and I would think that it is what we call it, a feather or whatever it is. So you must actually label all your diagram. If you don't label your diagram meaningless and you won't get any marks from your diagram as well. All right. Then following from that, you have to tell how you control your variables and how you get your responding variables. So here, both plants, second steps is talking about constant variable. How you actually fix your constant variable. We talk about the amount of water. We talk about the what we call it. Just now, what is it already? Again, we talk about the amount of water. We talk about the size and so on. Okay. So what you can do, you have to fix it here. So both plants are placed under the sun at the same place. So this is one of the constant variable. If you want to put, you can put in the constant variable as well. Water it with the same amount of water daily with the watering can. So if you want to put the amount, you can put water it with 100 ml of water or 200 ml of water, okay, with the watering can. So this is to tell us how you actually manage the control variable. Then you have to tell how you collect your responding variable. Okay, responding variable, how? So this is how is it. After 2 weeks, you pluck leaves from the plant in each pot. Then you measure it, measure the length of each leaf, okay, with a ruler and record it. Okay. Then after you recorded the first leaves, what you need to do, all right, you have to repeat. So this is your responding variable. Always remember the responding variable, you actually need to repeat it. Okay, so repeat the measurements of the leaves from each pot with another 4 leaves. Okay, so that means you pluck another 4 leaves from each of the pots, okay, to measure the length of the leaves. All right, then what you need to do, so the average length of the leaf is counted and recorded. Okay, so the clue here is you have to put repeat and average in getting your responding variable. Okay, is there any questions from the students? Is there any problem in writing your steps that I could help you if you have any particular problem? Okay, so from here you can actually see that whatever apparatus that you put down here is found here. So if at all, at any time, you are stuck with don't know what to put here, okay? So you don't stop yourself from thinking about it all over the time, okay? You can just proceed to answer to write down the procedures. Okay, so once you write down the procedures, you would be able to find out that, oh, suddenly you found, when I want to measure the length, I may use a ruler, or I can use a pencil also. Then you put the pencil here, then you just fill out again, pencil. But you have to tell what you need to do with the pencil. Okay, so always have a practice of like skipping 1 or 2 lines here. Okay, skipping 1 or 2 lines here so that you got what we call it space to add in more what we call it information in it, as long as on the way that you are answering the paper. Okay, because you are given only 1 piece of paper to answer this, right? And paper is very precious during exams. If you don't have enough of paper, then you have to ask for the paper, and sometimes it's limited. So please make sure you leave 1 or 2 lines here at this place so that you can fill in some of the things that you left out. Okay. Joshua, is it? As of how to give marks to each part, I'm not going to discuss here. Okay, I'm just discussing about the technique of answering it. All right, so you have to pick up the technique. As for how to mark it, is the teacher's problem, not the problem of the students to think about it. So we are just talking about the part of how you actually answer the questions. So this question is basically asking you to plan the experiment. So you have to plan it on how to solve the problems that you have already identified. All right. So as long as your experiment, which is sound and logic to solve the problems, you can get the problem solved, and the steps that you suggested can test out the hypothesis and solve the problem, then it's fine. All right. So this is the steps that we are going to talk about. So basically, your steps will tells us how you actually manipulated your variables here. You manipulated by putting two different soil, growing the plants on these two soil, and to let it grow properly with the constant variable that you are stated here. Then with how you actually get the responding variable here. Okay. So to get the responding variable, I just told you already, you must repeat so that you can get the average. All right, so just put it inside. And now the last part of this paper is very simple. It actually asks you to, where's the question? Okay, to present the data. All right, presenting the data, normally we would put it as a table. If you can get a very, what we call it, creative way to do it, okay, you can do so, but normally we will put it into a data like this, okay? There are a few things that you have to take note in presenting your data. Excuse me. All right, first of all, you have to know that in presenting the data in your table, there are a few rules that you have to remember. First of all, the table is actually separated into columns and rows. Okay, the first column here, this is column. Okay, the first column here is always for the manipulated variable. Okay, and the first row here, this one, is always for the responding variable. Okay, so for manipulated variable, you have to write down the manipulated variable that given. So it is the type of soil. All right, so you just put down the clay soil and the garden soil. All right, and then you have to put the responding variable here, which is the length of leaf. And do not forget about the unit. All right, the length of leaf, you can put cm, you can put mm, but you don't put ridiculous measurement or unit that you put km, then definitely you are wrong. All right, you can put inch also, but inch is not the common unit that we are using in Malaysia. So normally we will put mm or cm, okay, which is reasonable for the measurement of the length of a leaves. All right, then you have to put in, because how many times you counted, you pick one leaves from your procedures here. The first one, you measure the first one, you pluck one, and then you repeat 4 times. That means you actually can put into 5 columns because you measured 5 leaves. So you get the first variable, the first reading, second, third, fourth, fifth reading, and then you count for the average. That is column for the average, and don't forget about the unit. All right. Do you need to fill in the figure here? 0.2, 1 cm, 1.0 cm, 1.3 cm, and so on and so forth. Do you need to put in? No need. Okay, just leave it blank like this, because what we need is only the way how you present your data. You do not need to fill in the data. Why? Why don't you need to fill in the data? Because you didn't conduct the experiment. When you don't conduct the experiment, where do you get the data from? So you will not be able to get the data until you finish doing the experiment. Okay, so you didn't carry out the experiment, so no data here. Just leave it blank here. All right, so this will sufficient when you present this is already your presentations of data. That's all. And your questions stop here. Okay, sorry, your answer will stop here. Do you need to put your conclusion? Do you need to put your conclusion saying that hypothesis is accepted or hypothesis is not accepted? No need. All right, you do not need it. You do not need to put down the conclusion. Same thing, because you didn't run the experiment, so you cannot test whether your your hypothesis is correct or not. All right, but from reading from the procedures or by planning this experiment, okay, if we conduct it, we hope that we can answer to the questions, answer to the problem, and also test out the hypothesis. All right, is there any questions? All right, Multi, can you ask that can write only one constant variable? Yeah, at least one constant variable. Constant variable can be a lot, but don't write something which is wrong. Okay, so you can actually write one constant variable at least. Okay, you can put 2 if you want. But my advice is the less the better. Don't write too many so that you don't get it wrong. Actually, constant variable got a lot. As long as you identify 1 or 2, then you just put it here. 1 is more than sufficient. All right, is there any questions? So this is how you pick up the technique in answering this paper, this question on paper 3. Okay. The most important thing here is to identify this sentence. Okay, you must know this sentence because from this sentence, you will get most of your answer here. This is the sentence until here. Okay, so before you start your, before you start everything, you must identify this sentence starting from to study the effect of types of soil on the length of leaves for hibiscus. You must highlight the sentence in this pattern so that you will be able to actually know what you are looking at for this particular question, because this sentence will actually determine what you need. Okay, and it will give you the answer directly. Again, the answer for this 3. And from there, you can develop your procedures and so on. Once you get your variable, actually this one also you can answer already with that particular statements only. Okay, is there any questions? We got plenty of time here. We got roughly 15 minutes for Q&A. If you have any question, please ask your questions. If no, then the sessions will end here. So please ask questions if you have any problem. So actually paper 3 is not that difficult. Paper 3 question 2 is very simple to answer. Okay, you just need to be creative and to understand, to identify what problem you are actually solving, build up the hypothesis, then try to design the experiment to solve your problem. Okay. Mabel, yes, if you use the pattern that I showed you, the first sentence will be set up the apparatus as shown in the diagram. Okay, so maybe you ask, right, do we need to draw the setup to get the marks? Yes, because in your first statement is as shown in the diagram. If you don't draw the diagram, then your statement doesn't sound. Okay, so when you put down the statement like this, you must draw the diagram. If you don't draw the diagram, you can choose by not drawing the diagram to answer this question. My advice is only that if you don't draw up the diagram to answer this question, it's very easy for you to make mistake, or you may not be able to explain the things properly. Okay, even if you don't want to write this, you want to write step by step on how you're preparing it. For example, you need to write the first step, get 2 pots and fill up the pots with 10 kg clay soil and 10 kg garden soil respectively. So you can tell by giving instructions in such a way. Okay, so, and also you have to continue explaining how you set up this, okay, how you set up this by sentence and sentence. Okay, you may go to step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 just to tell how to set up this so that you can start your experiment. So my advice is do it in just one step by telling it that set up the apparatus as shown in the diagram. Okay, then show the diagram. That's all. It's much easier because if you want to write it in a few steps just to tell how you set up this, then it will be a little bit difficult for some people. Okay, if you think you can tell this in just writing out in sentences, just go ahead. You can just write it out in sentences. Okay, and make sure all your sentences must be complete sentence. Okay, do not hang it up in points. All right, for section A, sorry, because time constraint, I will not be able to finish up section A within the time given. Okay, so I will just focus in answering question 2 at the moment. All right, is there any other questions? Right, is there any questions from students? If there's no question, then I would pass the time back to Encik Subra.
Okey. Terima kasih Cikgu Kwan di atas perkongsian tersebut. Saya ada beberapa pengumuman kepada pelajar untuk slot seterusnya, iaitu pada hari esok 2 Disember Rabu jam 10 pagi English SPM bersama Cikgu Nurul Kusna. Ya, pelajar boleh mengikuti subjek English ini melalui link yang boleh dilihat di skrin anda sekarang, tiny.cc/top-meletup. Okay, ini adalah link dia untuk setiap hari kelas Sektor Pembelajaran PPD Bangsar Pudu ini jam 10 pagi. So untuk esok English, jangan lupa jam 10 pagi di link ni. Dan akhir sekali, jangan lupa untuk subscribe channel Sektor Pembelajaran PPD Bangsar Pudu untuk melihat balik video-video pengajaran yang dijalankan daripada bulan lepas dan juga untuk mengikuti pelajaran-pelajaran yang akan datang pada masa akan datang. Sekian, terima kasih daripada kami untuk hari ini. Terima kasih Cikgu Kwan.
Okay, terima kasih.
Okey, jumpa lagi. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.